All right, so here we are again. Week 15 review. Um, so I guess the elephant in the room, we could always start as usual with our Eagles. Um, you know what? I'll let you have the floor because, to be honest, I don't really enjoy talking about it anymore. I just find myself arguing with my friends who either are for Wentz or against Wentz, or want Hurts because they were believers of Nick Foles and they see the same thing, like, oh, look at this, another quarterback can come in and play, but Wentz can't. There's a lot going on, so you can go ahead first.
I it's amazing what 1 week does. Because remember when we were talking, I was like, I'm not ready to give a Wentz and give the keys to Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, after this week, I don't see any possible way Wentz is on this team next year. Like, I just don't see it. The situation is such a shit show.
Yeah.
And now you hear Wentz talking to the media about he's not going to be a backup. And I get that. I totally understand that. I don't blame the guy. But this is what happens when you draft Jalen Hurts in the second round when you already have a franchise quarterback. Eventually, if he's not playing well, the fans are going to demand Hurts get out there, and if he gets an opportunity and plays well, they're not going to want Wentz back out there. And I'm not on the. I told you about my nightmare situation last week, and I still see that as a very likely situation because he does look good. I'm not going to take anything away from Hurts. I was impressed with moments in the game.
Mm-hmm.
There was moments I was concerned about, like that safety, which was inexcusable. And even on that same one of the first drives, he had that interception that was dropped when he threw the ball like 10 feet over.
That would have been a pick six.
Oh, easy. So that stuff still worries me. But it's just the other thing of this whole thing is like I don't necessarily think Jalen Hurts is real. Like, his numbers were good. I actually thought his numbers were better than what I actually saw. But it's not really like he's like taking over the game and just making jaw-dropping plays consistently. He's just doing the easy stuff most of the time. When there's nothing there and the pocket's collapsing, he scrubs and runs.
Yeah.
He gets the ball out of his hand. He takes his first read. They run the ball a lot more with Hurts than they ever did with Wentz. Again, maybe that's Wentz changing the play at the line. We don't really know. The other thing that is very obvious is how much better this team is with Jalen Hurts out there. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. I haven't seen Greg Ward do anything all year, and now he's making toe-tapping catches in the end zone. Alshon Jeffrey suddenly is bodying Patrick Peterson. Like, he's just getting like 4 pass interference calls on Patrick Peterson, one of the best corners in the league. This guy could barely walk. I'm still convinced he can barely walk. If it was a different officiating crew, there's probably 6 offensive pass interferences called on Jeffrey because I think he was manhandling Peterson a lot too.
Yeah.
But we digress. This situation is just – this is the boiling point. I don't see that Wentz getting another – he's definitely not getting another chance this year. Like, Hurts looks too good. There's only 2 games left. I would expect him to continue against Dallas. Their team sucks. Washington, he's going to probably struggle in. But, again, I'm still not like, let's give the franchise to Jalen Hurts right now. He's looked good in the 2 games. But most mobile quarterbacks, when they start out, they do pretty well those first couple games because defenses aren't used to them, and they usually just scramble, And that's what he's been doing. He's been living on his legs. He's got some nice touch, and he made some nice passes, so I'm not going to kill the guy or say I'm not, impressed with what I've seen. But this situation's so bad. You have to think that Wentz is traded. I can't imagine he's going to be on this team. I would have liked to bring in a quarterback, competition going into next year. Light the fire under Wentz's butt, but I don't even think we're going to get to that point at this point. The team seems to have completely given up Wentz by how much harder they play for Jalen Hurts, and the fan base has been gone off Wentz, it sounds like. So I just can't see a reason. I mean, it'll come down to Lori, it'll come down to Howie and Doug, but I don't see how anyway Carson Wentz is still on this team next year.
Yeah, part of me is I've been very torn about this because I think deep down there's just like a weird refusal of like denial. Like, I just can't picture the Eagles without Wentz. And because of that, like, I'm still trying to be optimistic. But yeah, it's just if I was Carson, I would want out. If I was a fan of solely Carson and not the Eagles, I would want him out. Like, it's not how they relate. Like, can you imagine regardless of his mentality, regardless of whether he's a tough guy or whatever, if he's mentally soft, do you imagine every year you have to prove yourself to your team and that you're the quarterback? and they have to keep bringing competition for what? Like,
Hey,
it's just they didn't make a good scenario for him to thrive. Um, but I think I was listening to one of the few analysts that I actually like respect their opinion about is Ray Didinger. I'm sure you
mm-hmm,
know about him, but he said it, and I agree 100% with what he said, that the most likely scenario, based on what we know about the Eagles and Howie and Doug and how they handle players, and the scenario that I think would probably be best for right now today, um, is they keep both players. They obviously let Hurts finish the season.
yeah,
You go into the offseason with a competition. Say, look, what happened happened. We're gonna have a competition. You're both up for starting quarterback spot. And if Wentz takes the offseason, gets smart, like gets his mental better, gains some confidence, improves his reads, improves how he's calling plays, adjusting plays, the mental, because we know he's got the skill.
mm-hmm,
It was, I think, his biggest issues for his drop off was all mental stuff. I think he was, obviously forcing throws. I don't think he was reading coverages very well. I think he was apparently that he was adjusting plays that Doug was calling. So if he can like clean that up and come out and beat Hurts in training camp, then that's a different story, and that could be good for both them
yeah. That's the way I looked at it when they benched Wentz in the first place. Was well, one, he deserved the benching because he was terrible.
for sure.
Like I didn't look this as give Hurts 4 games to take away Wentz's job for the future. Like I looked at it as lighting a fire under him because he's your franchise quarterback. Like the other thing that comes down to like if Wentz is off the team, and at this point I do expect him to be off the team, and I know there's dates and stuff they need to make a move and make a decision
Mm-hmm.
before that contract becomes guaranteed, and I think that will come into effect. If that does happen, this first off will be one of the biggest jokes I've seen in a long time. How you give this guy such all that money and then trade him for you're not getting anything from him. Like honestly, he's got no value. Everyone knows you've created a disastrous situation for you. No one's going to give you a lot to save you. But the Carson Wentz situation was going to be one of the weirdest like dynamics I've seen from a player. Like I hear all these stories like he's not a leader, his teammates don't like him, he's lost the locker room. But then I like see the guy, I'm like, he always seems to be well spoken, doesn't seem to be out there like a diva. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen him work his tail off. The guy's tough as nails. He's fought through many multi like serious injuries. He's been when I've seen him, like when you heard from the Super Bowl run, he would be in every quarterback meeting with Nick Foles, just like if he was healthy. He would help him. Even on the sideline with Hurts, I saw him sit next to him with the tablet in hand with both of them.
Yeah.
Like he just always looks like a good backup quarterback to me. Like for what you think a backup quarterback should be, like helping them out, being the ears, the eyes, and helping them, help the starter as they're playing. I just don't understand what it is that this locker room, this team, this city just doesn't mesh with Carson Wentz. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's beating puppies in the locker room or if he's shooting Girl Scout cookies as they try to sell cookies to his house or something. Like something about this guy is off, and I don't know what it is, but you just see it. There's just no chemistry with anyone out there. Like the offense I'm seeing, I'm blown away by because I'm like, this just looks different. And it's not just the quarterback's different, is everyone is playing better. And why is that? Why does a quarterback make that much difference? And I'm not seeing Hurts, just making like he's not I haven't seen Hurts make 2017 Carson Wentz plays. I haven't seen it. He's played well, don't get me wrong.
I would say the fumble that he picked up and threw was a pretty good play, but I mean I've seen Carson do similar things.
But why couldn't this same exact roster that Jalen Hurts has now do similar stuff that when Carson Wentz was out there?
That's
I don't understand it. Like the whole team.
why is Doug 11-3 with a backup QB? Like how does this? It just
It's
doesn't. I don't
like I said,
understand it.
this is going to go down as one of like an NFL mystery. Like this is the weirdest thing I've seen. Is one the complete lack of just trying to support your franchise quarterback. Like
But
you want
yeah,
to talk about some bad quarterbacks, like Andrew Luck, who retired early because no one wanted to do anything about his offensive line or get him weapons. David Carr when the Texans started out, like Carson Wentz is going to be up there with one of the worst like front office managements of a franchise quarterback, and he's going to do it on a team that won a Super Bowl, went to the playoffs 2 of the 3 years he was there. Like it's just the weirdest thing. Like they seem to have like just ignored him. Like I don't understand how you invest so much in this guy and just leave him alone or can't mesh with him. It just baffles me.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think at this point, like, I mean, if Hurts plays as well as he did these two games, the last two games, I don't see why they wouldn't try to move on. But it's not as much as like Jalen is 100% your franchise guy. And I like Jalen, so this is why it's like it sucks because I wanted him to succeed, but not with the Eagles. I wanted him to be drafted by somebody else.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the whole. This is the whole situation of drafting the second round is boiling down to this now. Because
yeah,
the other thing is, if Hurts plays well the last two games, and you do have a competition, next year, you want to talk a hot seat. If Wentz throws an interception, people are going to be screaming for Hurts because they've already seen him perform and do well. Like
hmm
now your hands are tied because now you've shown the fans what Jalen Hurts can do. Granted, limited sample size, but you're going to show them what he can do. And then whenever Wentz is down or having a bad game, people are going to want Hurts because they've seen him play well and they can see him play better than what Wentz is doing. And you're just going to put more pressure on the guy. And he's constantly been under this constant backup quarterback pressure. And it just baffles me why you would go back and do this all over again with him.
yeah, and I hate the like the report came out where it was like, oh, if Carson's not gonna be the starter, he wants to be on a different team, and like everyone took that as like, oh, he's a crybaby, he's not a competitor, he doesn't want to fight for his starting job, he just wants to, he's soft. Like, first of all, yes, these are all like it was terribly worded, whether it's from his agent or somebody else leaked it. Like they should not, it shouldn't have been out there. First of all, second of all, you can see like you said on the field, he's very supportive of Jalen. Like he's a team guy, and what pisses me off most is like, sure, he played terrible, so he really can't talk, really can't complain. But you can't tell me any of these people on ESPN who are former players in professional sports who are calling him soft and calling him a crybaby would not be saying the same thing if they were benched or if they weren't starting. Because at the end of the day, you're a competitor and you want to be on the field. So if Carson's camp, his people around him say, well, it looks like the Eagles ran you out of town because you didn't play up to their standards, and Jalen Hurts came in and has been playing well enough to get the job. Obviously, people are going to start talking about that. I'd be more concerned if he was just sitting on the bench twiddling his fucking fingers, not saying anything. So
I mean, I don't blame the guy.
I
If
I
they're going to
just
start Jalen Hurts next year, I would want to be out. Why wouldn't you?
I get that the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league, but it's like I've seen more good from Wentz than I've seen bad, and just like it goes back to like the Foles thing. Like people were so ready to move on from Wentz after the Super Bowl and wanted Foles. Like look at what Foles has done. He went to the Jaguars, got hurt, came back, did nothing. Got traded to the Bears. What happened? He didn't win the starting job over Trubisky. Then he got in because Trubisky was so bad, and now he's hurt and on the bench again. How would Foles have turned out here? You really think it would have been any better?
No, of course not. The nightmare situation's there. Next year, I wouldn't be surprised if Week 10 Carson Wentz on a new team dominating, and we are still, failing.
Part of me really wants to cheer for Wentz and really wants him to still be the guy, and part of me is thinking it's best for him and the Eagles to just move on because I don't know what you look back like. How do people look back at this in 20 years and say is the Carson Wentz was a what if?
What did you think about the news of the John Dorsey hiring? Apparently, during the draft, we somehow didn't hear about it until now.
No, I think it happened like a couple of months ago. I don't think it was during the draft.
I heard him say that he was a part of the 2020 draft, discussion group or whatever you want to call it.
I just heard that they signed him earlier in the season. I didn't hear that, but
I like the guy, like the pick a lot. Like
I mean, if you look at his draft classes with the Browns and the Chiefs, pretty good stuff. I mean, I said this to someone else. I was like, it'd be ideal if because he's like a guy that could get another GM job.
Oh yeah, Well, he needs, he needs a little bit. I think this is a position that is well below him.
Yeah, but I would say if he, because it seems like Jeffrey Lurie does not have any intention of getting rid of Howie.
That's the other thing. I think
Relegate Howie to just contracts and let Dorsey do trades and drafting. That would be ideal for me. But
I mean, it's the Joe Douglas role. That's what we saw work with Howie, and I think John Dorsey's a great person for that role. He was very successful with. He built, obviously he built the Chiefs and he built the Browns. He didn't like that Browns team was all him. The only mistake he made was hiring Freddie Kitchens.
Yeah.
If he never hired Freddie Kitchens, he'd still have a job. Like Andrew Berry really hasn't done anything. Stefanski didn't really. I mean, they granted they drafted Willis and they signed Conklin and really improved that offensive line. That's when the offense really took off. But that was the big hole going in all season. It was your coach sucks and the offensive line was bad. And you know what? Andrew Berry went and fixed that one hole and got rid of his coach and got a smart one, and that team's rolling now. But that was a John Dorsey blueprint all through and through. I do like that you got him to slide into this role, this non-GM role, because I'm right there with you. I think he could have gotten a GM role as well. Listen, if Howie's not going anywhere, then fine. Bring in someone to play the Joe Douglas role to keep him accountable and pick some good, talented players. I do think that part of the Wentz thing is maybe Howie, Jeffrey, and Doug are just all going to blame this on Wentz, trade him, and then we're going to go into the new season thinking that Howie and Doug are still the geniuses that they are. It's just Carson's so bad and we couldn't win with him. And then we'll see what happens. You better hope Jalen Hurts develops really well, and you better hope you're competing next year. Because if that's not the case, I'd fire every single one of them. Clear house. Clear them all out.
I think even if they lose the next 2 games, but they're competitive, I think Doug's fine.
I'd be surprised if Howie or Doug got fired, to be honest. I just don't see the vibe. I think
it's just an awkward, it's like beyond them now. It's strictly on like the quarterback focus. But yeah, my final thoughts is it's hard to keep defending Wentz's the likelihood of staying in Philly just because of, Hurts had 300 some passing yards, more rushing yards than Kyler Murray in that game.
Yeah.
He had 18 passing first down completions. 18 first downs. I don't know if Carson's done that at all this year. So
listen, you played well 2 games.
Yeah.
He finishes out the season and looks pretty good. This is Wentz's goodbye song. I just don't see how you bring him back. Everyone's going to want Jalen Hurts. He's the young guy. He's the unproven commodity.
Yeah.
They're going to want that. And now that you've seen it, you're going to want it even more. So either you're going to go into the season with the awkward situation where Wentz is starting and people are just going to be begging for Hurts anytime Wentz fucks up. And that is just not, that's what you've been living in the last 3 years. That's
the thing, though. If Wentz comes back and he's a starter again next year, but it's the same story and he's still struggling, where do we go from there? Is it just cut him outright, trade him in the middle of the season? It's just.
Well, I think the trade has to happen before the season starts. I don't remember the contract details, but that's the other thing is you're on this time clock because you signed them to a huge deal because, that's what you
I still think just based on how this team operates, both quarterbacks will be on this roster in August. And
I'd hope so. Let them compete. Maybe
fire
under Wentz.
And yeah, even if Hurts just blows the coaches away and wins over Wentz, then I could see Wentz being traded at right before the start of the season if a team is didn't draft a QB or a QB got hurt. But
if they want a chance at a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely am. I'm very concerned about how the team just seems to play better without him.
That's the one thing.
For someone of his talent, that has to say something about how he actually he can be a positive leader. It doesn't make you a good leader. So I don't know.
It's the weirdest thing. It's the same players and they're playing so much better. And the only difference is Jalen Hurts, and I don't get it.
I don't know.
Yeah, he is playing better than Wentz. Don't get me wrong. But it's just so obvious the whole team is so much better.
Even the defense gets turnovers all of a sudden.
The defense defense looks so much better. Jalen Hurts has nothing to do with defense, and
Yeah,
they look much better.
I don't
I
know,
mean, it
man.
probably helps that they're not going 3 and out every drive, so they can actually get a breath. But
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. It's a weird situation. It'll be something to watch at the end of the year. I'd like to go in with the competition and see if you can wake up Wentz, because I still think between the two of them, Wentz has got the higher ceiling
I
and
agree.
franchise quarterback potential. But at this point, this situation's gotten so rotten and so bad. And you know what? If you go into the competition, if Hurts does well, and you go in next year with a competition, and Wentz does win out, because he's not going to be on the team to back up. I think we know that now. He's already making reports that he doesn't want to be here if he's a backup.
Yeah.
So, and then you know what? You'll be right back where you were when Nick Foles was on the team. You're going to have a backup
Yep.
that people are going to be begging to see as soon as Wentz does anything remotely wrong. And really, that's a bad organization. To go back to the same exact problem you had, this isn't like an envious situation to be in. It's the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And we were already in this situation with a backup quarterback that everyone was dying to see and putting all the pressure on the starter. So he was basically looking over his shoulder every game. And now you're about to do it all over again. It's just they fall for their same mistakes.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what would have happened if Hertz got put in, 5 games earlier. But
Listen, we'll see. I want to see more.
yeah,
Like you said, I always think mobile quarterbacks usually succeed a little bit more in the beginning because that running ability helps them a lot. And look at the first game he played; he went probably over 100 yards. So,
yeah. Well,
we'll see.
yeah. This might surprise you, but there are 31 other teams in the NFL besides the Eagles.
I know,
Um,
but only one of them is embarrassing themselves on a weekly. Well, maybe not the only one.
well, I think the other one also resides in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, who have lost 3 straight. Washington, then they got smacked by the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they got smacked by the Bengals. I watched the beginning of this game, and the Bengals were up like 17-0. They came to play, like their defense was hitting hard. I mean, I thought Juju Smith-Schuster died. He got hit so hard.
Deserve that one too. Talk about an idiot.
Yeah, he danced on the logo in pregame, and then he got hit right around the logo.
Yeah. And he fumbled and cost them a touchdown, and then they ended up losing. So someone's wearing the clown nose this week. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so the Bengals surprise upset, and lo and behold, the Jets just destroyed their entire season by winning 1 game.
Yeah, that's that.
Like like Jets fans on the inside are I have to imagine that they were happy they didn't go 0-16, but furious that it's very likely that now the Jaguars will take Trevor Lawrence.
You know who's probably furious? I think the NFL in general is furious. Roger's probably screaming at his TV. Trevor Lawrence, the greatest quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, is going to go to Jacksonville instead of New York. That's going to sit well with Roger. We'll go from the biggest market possible to the smallest one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that.
I already saw a mock draft where the Jets don't even take a quarterback at number 2. Like that's how.
Honestly, I was thinking this like I was gonna play into this a little bit more on the studs and duds list, but
Okay.
I don't think I think it's Lawrence or bust. I think it's Lawrence or you're keeping Darnold because one
I think if they end up with the 2, the second overall pick, I think they'll try and trade it out because I think Justin Fields and like Mac and those other quarterbacks are good. But they're not Trevor Lawrence level.
I really don't look at Justin Fields has looked so bad this year. Like it's a tough year, but he's just like he doesn't look special. Like I don't see special when I watch this guy anymore. I saw it last year. Maybe maybe they caught on to what he was doing. Maybe he's just struggling to adapt now. I don't know what it is, but and then Mac Jones, I'm not sold on Mac Jones. Mac Jones is playing behind easily the best offensive line in college and has just juggernauts at the wide receiver position that they just churn out like butter every single year.
Yeah.
And I don't. He can win a Heisman and everything. I don't think he's much of an NFL quarterback, but this is the thing with the Jets. If it's not Trevor, I don't know who it is. I'm not taking Fields second overall. Zach Wilson's a nice player, but I don't really see him as like a franchise NFL quarterback. And then the other one is Trey Lance, who played 1 game this year. Like you haven't seen this guy play an entire year, and he's over in freaking North Dakota State or wherever. Like he's not playing against good competition. He missed the whole year. Like come on. So it's tough. I mean, there will be quarterbacks taking the top 10 that aren't Lawrence, as there are every year. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean they deserve it, but it's tough because after Lawrence, it's a crapshoot. I've really fallen off on Fields a lot. If I were the Jets, I'd honestly just look to build around Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold's shown flashes this year when he's healthy. He's not like Darnold's shown that he can be the guy. It's just a matter of,
Getting,
I mean, he doesn't have any receivers.
yeah,
He doesn't have a running back. I mean, Frank Gore basically is on crutches at this point.
yeah. Now that, yeah, I'll tell them one thing. There are two nice players there on the Jets though that they can build around. The first round pick from Louisville, the offensive tackle Becton, he is beast.
Yeah, strong man.
He is a monster. He crushes people. I looked at, I was looking over the dud list and I was like, man, this is the one thing. I was like, who do I put here? And I looked at, I was watching the game. And I was like, damn, you know who I haven't heard's name called once? Aaron Donald didn't do anything. He had one tackle. It was tackle for loss. So he had one tackle for loss, one tackle. That was it. That was a set line. And you're talking about a guy. I watch a Rams game or I watch Rams on Red Zone or whatever. They won't stop talking about it. He's constantly making plays, constantly in the backfield. Are you going to tell me the Jets of all teams are suddenly the ones that can stop him? So, I mean, he moves around. I know, and he plays more in the interior, but
yeah.
Yo, look, that's Joey Douglas right there. The other building block they have, I like Quentin Williams too.
Yeah, Quentin Williams is beast.
The Jets are a garbage team besides those two players. Those two players are actually two players. If I'm the Jets, I'm excited to build around them. That's Joey Douglas, baby. It's D-line and O-line, and he likes the big boys. And listen, maybe you keep Darnold and you build around him with a smart GM and a new coach. But if it's not Lawrence, I think that's your best move.
Yeah. I mean, beyond that, any games that really caught your eye? I mean, for me, I just continue to be impressed by the Bills. Like they put up 48 points against the Broncos, who, I mean, they have some good players on defense. It's not like they're getting thrashed every weekend. They compete and they're just destroying people. Josh Allen's looking really good. Packers took care of business. The Washington football team, like I still think they'll win the division. But Seattle got up on them pretty early, and they came back and they fought, and they only lost by 5.
Yeah, they were starting Dwayne Haskins. You're never gonna win a game with Dwayne Haskins.
No, but they got some nice pieces on defense that'll. They're like a year or two away from being pretty competitive, I would say.
Dwayne Haskins is the most Washington football team quarterback I've ever seen. Like you had.
Would you hear he goes to strip clubs after the games?
Yeah, no mask or anything. Like, do you even know what we're living through? Like, you're an NFL quarterback. I could walk down the street, and if I don't have a mask on, people are probably yelling at me. You're an NFL quarterback. You don't think they're going to recognize you, and you're out there in a strip club without a mask on? Like, dude, what do you do? And then I heard,
why are strip clubs even open in a pandemic?
Listen,
Are they all wearing masks and there's just money flying everywhere? Like, what?
You're asking the wrong person. You have to talk to Dwayne Haskins on that one.
Okay, I'll call him.
I read another report when I was reading that story about how he tried to bring a friend into the team hotel. Like he tried checking him in, and then like the team caught onto it and said, "No, what are you doing? Like we're in the middle of a pandemic. If one of the players get COVID, our season's in a lot of trouble."
Yep.
We're also probably going to find a ton of money and lose draft picks because you're an idiot. Plus, then what was the one he did last year where he like high-fived the fan and then there were like still time left. Remember there was still time left. They had to go kneel to win the game, and they had to send the backup quarterback out there because Dwayne Haskins was out there dabbing up fans after winning his first game. Like, dude, you've been in the NFL for like 2 years yet, and you have maybe a handful of starts. You act like a child. But then again, you hear that Dan Snyder personally demanded his team go and draft this guy, ignored all the scouts and the coaches, and yet again, we're not surprised. God love Dan Snyder.
Yeah. Elsewhere, Titans once again unleashed Derrick Henry and his murderous stiff arm. Claimed another victim.
He's just nasty,
But yeah, they scored 46 points. Like them and the Bills are just rolling in the AFC right now. So, but they could give the Chiefs a scare at this point. Um, and I don't know if you saw there was a so the Bucks came back against the Falcons. So once again, the Falcons blew a lead. Um,
Just give Tom Brady the key to Atlanta.
and there was a
Come and go whenever you want.
there's a picture that was going around where he's like sitting on the bench, like elbows on his knees, like head down, like he's really thinking about something. And it was like almost like the same exact picture of him sitting on the bench when they were losing in the Super Bowl. And it's like if you ever see Tom Brady looking like this, just call it then. Like the game's already over.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's just sad how like this team, the Falcons, just find ways to blow leads constantly. Like
they're 4-10, have blown like 3 or 4 games this year, and Matt Ryan is still top 5 in passing yards. Like,
well, that's the other thing. That's what's
what is with this team? I don't understand.
that's the impressive part is that they're terrible enough to blow these leads consistently, but they're also good enough to consistently get like a 17 or 20 point lead on a bunch of teams. I
Yeah,
just I couldn't believe the main thing I couldn't believe with that was like, the Falcons are circling that game. Like Tom Brady ruined your life in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and most of those players are still on the team. There's plenty of them that probably remember that game. I can't fathom how you let that happen again to the same guy. Like, come on.
yeah. Tom Brady is now 7-0, including playoffs against the Falcons.
It's bad.
It's brutal.
It is bad.
Elsewhere, I mean, yeah, we already touched on 2 really big upsets. Jets beat the Rams, and the Steelers beat the Bengals. Browns took care of business against the Giants, and then we had a potential.
That made me feel good because I didn't actually like the Giants were just a weird team. Like I look at that roster and know they're terrible, but they kept on winning. That was a game I needed to bring me back down to earth and realize that the Giants are still the Giants.
They're exactly who we think they were. They're a team that has some good players
Yeah,
that caught fire and played well, and now they're exposed. So I'm not surprised. Everyone was like applauding David Gettleman. I'm like, okay, they won a couple of games. It doesn't mean that all is forgiven. He still has some really questionable moves, really strange draft picks. But anyways,
Patriots are eliminated from playoff contention. That was
yeah, first time since 2008. I saw the last time the Patriots weren't in the playoffs. Drake hadn't even released an album yet. Like that makes me feel old.
Yeah, that it does. That it does.
But yeah, the last game of note, Chiefs and Saints. We had a little potential Super Bowl preview. Started out with the Chiefs really just dominating, and then Drew Brees finally got like the rust off, I guess, and mount a little comeback. So that was a good game. And then I will say the I don't know why of all games they had Dallas versus San Francisco on national TV. Yeah, I've never seen a game, to my knowledge, where a team recovers an onside kick for a touchdown, and then the next drive, the other team successfully completes a Hail Mary touchdown. So it was definitely like, I mean, both teams had their chances to win that game, and then Dallas. The score looks like Dallas kind of beat it on them, but they really just caught a last touchdown that really sealed the game. But
right. Yeah, that was a close game. Good game though, entertaining game.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I mean, that was like my wrap up in general.
No, that's it for right now. I'll get to some other stuff.
So
hit on a little bit.
So let's start with the duds then. Who are your 3 duds of the week?
Okay, I see you're in a little sour mood. It's Christmas week.
I mean, I gotta listen to all these Grinch people saying how bad Carson Wentz is, and he burned all his jersey. Actually, matter of fact, I don't want to really talk about this anymore, but I know he's been bad this year, like really, like historically bad. Mm-hmm. But the amount of people who like, not even like this was before his MVP almost season. The amount of people that worshipped Carson Wentz, like had North Dakota State jerseys, had all this merchandise with his name on it. Like people worship this man, and now they are so quick to snap a finger and say, "No, he's trash. Get him out of here. We don't want him." There's no loyalty anymore.
Listen. It's professional sports. There's never any loyalty, really. If you're not winning Super Bowls, you're out the door. I mean, look, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl and he was out the door the next year. Different situation, different thing, but
Yeah, it is what it is at this point.
see what we can do about that. All right, let's get to it. So you want the duds because you're feeling a little Scrooge-esque during this Christmas week.
Okay.
So this one, I'm not even going to give you the chance to guess because I already kind of spilled the beans on it, and I didn't really have any good
You
hints
don't give
on
me.
it.
That's the whole point.
I got ones on the other ones. I'll make up for it on the other ones.
Okay.
But yeah, this one is just like because this was a tough call. I actually really struggled getting third stud or third dud. I apologize because I was like, well, one thing I was thinking was like I have to find a way to put like a combination of like Steelers, Rams, Falcons, and the Steelers were easy. I was really struggling with the Rams because as surprising it was, and I was watching the replays and trying to see what was going on. I just think the Jets just played better. Like I
And
don't know.
Goff was not very good. I don't believe.
He wasn't great, but he wasn't awful. His stat line was actually better than Donald. Third dud this week, and this was kind of one we already talked about, so I'll get into it fast and early. My boy, the game wrecker, who didn't wreck anything against the worst team in football by far, and that's Aaron Donald. Because one way or another, your superstars have to make a play. And this is what it came down to me. I was looking at it, I was like, who in the Rams do I really blame this loss on? And I thought about Goff. Goff's the easy cop-out because he's the quarterback and all that. But his stat line wasn't that bad. I think he had 2 touchdowns, if I'm correct, and 1 interception. Let me see, actually, right here. So he's 22 of 34, 209 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, the Really not that bad of a game. Against the Jets, maybe so. But then you look at who's the highest paid player and highest paid defensive player in NFL history, the most well-known player on their team, and that's Aaron Donald, who went 1 tackle. Like I said, it was a tackle for loss, so he did make 1 decent play, but that was it. And when you're the best player in the best defensive player in football, arguably the best player in football,
Yeah.
against the worst team in football and one of the worst teams we've seen in a little bit, you got to make some plays. Like you got to be dominant. Like I know, and the other thing is like I know he gets double teamed every week, but he still manages to dominate games. He couldn't do anything against the Jets. The Jets, I don't know if they just came with a game plan where like we're just going to stay away from Aaron Donald, or we're just going to slash his kneecaps, or we're going to put NyQuil in his Gatorade, or I don't know what they did. But I don't think anyone else in the league have been able to figure out how to do this since this guy entered the league. And the Jets did it perfectly. 1 tackle for Aaron Donald? That's a bad game. And,
Yeah.
we talked about this with Derrick Henry, and you're like, oh, he should be a stud because he went up for 215 against the Jaguars. But it's like, all right, it's 215 against the Jaguars. Like, it's Derrick Henry. I kind of expect that. Aaron Donald against the Jets, I expect it. If he had 2 sacks and, 8 tackles, I'd be like, whatever. It's Aaron Donald game. It's against the Jets. It's not really impressive. So on the other side, when you do absolutely nothing and your team loses in one of the biggest upsets, easily the biggest upset this year,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take some blame. It's a tough one. I understand, but Frank Gore also resurrected his career running the ball out there. He didn't have a ton of yards. I think he had 60 yards and a touchdown. Not really a great average. But these are the players that Aaron Donald was playing against, and he did not make his generational talent shown against
I'm
that team.
I'm pretty sure the Raiders and the Rams are the same teams, but in different divisions. Because we get interested with the Raiders because they show flashes. Well, at least in the beginning of the year they did, not so much lately. But then they have a game where why did they lose that game? And then they have a game where oh wow, they really dominated. The Rams are also really confusing. Why can they go out and beat good teams and then just get show no effort against a team that they should handle pretty easily?
Because I'll tell you right now, you know why? And this is why I put down on the dud list. They are a team that they're like a superstar-driven defense for sure. Because Jalen Ramsey and Donald are the best players on that team, and they make that team better.
By far.
And it's very obvious. But you know what? When they're not being special, this team's really nothing outside of those two. Look at the defense. Yeah. Look at the defense alone. Where if Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey aren't balling, who's out there really making plays for them? You're talking about your entire pass rush and a guy that's capable of shutting down the best player on any team in the entire league. And those are two great commodities to have on a team, and it's probably going to lead to success. But unless Aaron Donald's playing like Aaron Donald, and he did not play like Aaron Donald this week, and they lost to the Jets. And I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah.
I think they're a team that relies on the superstars they have, but overall, I think the superstars make them look better than they actually are. You said Jared Goff. Jared Goff's first couple of years of his career, he played behind one of the best offensive lines of football with one of the best offensive players in football at running back.
Yeah.
And he had 3 very good quality wide receivers and an offensive genius for head coach. You have other shiny pieces around there. They can make other things look better. Is the defense really that great, or do they have 2 superstars that just make everyone else around them better? I think that's more likely. And when your superstars don't have a superstar day, you lose to the Jets. And that's why Aaron Donald's the third dud. Is it tough? Yeah, but you know what? You lost to the Jets. You're the highest paid defensive player in football. You should do more than 1 tackle against the Jets.
All right, fair enough.
Listen, someone on the Rams had to be the dud, and I really struggled to find one, and I was going to just cop out and make it Goff, but
hot off the heels of his 7th, 8th Pro Bowl in a row.
Yeah, but yes, I mean Aaron Donald third dud. I thought it'd be a little spicy too. It's sometimes you get the same names pop up on the dud list every once in a while. I wanted to be spicy.
I never thought I would hear Aaron Donald's name on the dud list, but
exactly. See, now look at the dud list. We've had Aaron Donald now. Tom Brady's been on the list a couple times. Getting pretty good.
Well, I mean that Buccaneers team is heavily underachieving this year.
Yeah, not wrong about that, but here we are.
They had 1 Pro Bowler. I don't even remember who it was, but
yeah, I mean, yeah. I wasn't an offensive lineman or a defensive guy.
Might have been because I know it wasn't like none of the lineback. Oh, you know what it was? It was Jason Pierre-Paul. Of all the people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Solid, though.
Yes, yeah.
All right. On to the next one.
Okay.
So, my guy, second dud, defensive player again.
Okay.
Fun fact, he was born on September 20th, same day as my brother.
Good old Marky Mark.
Shout out Mark Mullen, former guest of the show.
Uh-huh.
He went to college at the powerhouse of Clemson.
Okay.
He is a 2-time national champion, obviously, as you would expect. If you play on Alabama or Clemson and you make it to your junior or senior year, you're probably going to pick up a title or 2.
Mm-hmm.
His first cousin is you know what? I don't even want to tell you. His first cousin is a former – no, I won't tell you. His first cousin is a former MVP who's currently an NFL player.
He was an MVP in the NFL?
No, he's an MVP in baseball.
What?
No. Yes, of course he was an MVP in NFL. If he's playing in NFL now, where else was he going to get an MVP from?
I don't know. High school?
You think
okay.
Oh, God.
All right, go on.
You know what? This was too hard for you. His first cousin's Lamar Jackson. I'll give you that.
I don't know if that's going to help me.
So, you got former Clemson player, born on the same day as Mark.
Of course, Mark's very important to this. So.
It's a fun fact. And I'll give you one final hint.
Okay.
It's a team that you just recently mentioned. He plays for a team that you just recently mentioned.
Clemson defense, which means they lost because they're on the duds list.
Again, we've known that since the beginning. And don't forget that he's the same birthday as my brother.
Right, because I memorize every NFL player's birthday.
That's the key part that I think will help you.
Of course. I don't have a clue. I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't really a known name, but man, I watched this game. I don't know if did you watch any of the Thursday night game between the Chargers and the Raiders? Besides that, listen.
I watched the ending. I didn't get to catch the beginning of it. I watched like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Into overtime. Actually, wait, that was the game that went to overtime, right?
Yes.
So I watched that. I saw that they tied and went to overtime, and I went to go make food or something. I don't remember what I did. And then I came back, and there was 4 minutes left, and the Raiders still the Raiders had the ball. So I was like, oh wow, neither of them are scoring. And then they kicked a field goal, and I was like, why is the game not over? They literally took 7 minutes to kick a field goal on the first possession of overtime.
Oh yeah, that's now I'll get to my dud, but I had a couple other nuggets of this game I wanted to get to. First off, I parlayed the over and the Chargers to win. So that touchdown in overtime hit for both of them. So my boy Justin Herbert is good in my books.
Wow.
My
Look at
second
you.
thing, Anthony Lynn continues to be the worst coach in football. Debatable. Gates is still
Wait,
there.
is it him? Is he on the dud list?
No, he won. Trust me, he would have been. But like this guy, at the end of the game,
Mm-hmm.
like he's traveling with the ball. Fourth, it's fourth quarter. You're about to win the game. Obviously, it's tied because they went into overtime.
Yeah.
He just is running the ball, nonchalant, not pushing the ball down the field. Clearly, mindset: I'm going to settle for a field goal and tie this game because I'm a loser. But mind you, talk about another guy that was on the stud list before they ended up winning, the Money Badger, the most stupidest name in the history of the world for a kicker of all days.
Oh yeah.
Michael Badgley, this joke of a person who this is not the first time I've lit into him because he sucks. He leads the leagues in missed field goals. The same year he trademarks a stupid nickname for a kicker, he leads the league in missed field goals. So the superstar Money Badger, he went 1 for 3 on his field goals that game.
Mm-hmm.
So Anthony Lynn, the worst football coach in the NFL, decide that I'm going to run the ball, be very slow, kill a lot of clock, and not push the ball downfield with my superstar young quarterback. And I'm going to rely on my joke of a kicker to win this game. Obviously, that didn't work out. What are you going to do? Then, besides the fact that Badgley missed his field goal, they have to call a timeout because the idiot couldn't decide whether he wanted to go for a field goal or not. So we were going to hit with the delay game. So then he had to go call the timeout. When at the end of the game, where you need these timeouts, you don't want the clock to start. You're going to have to give the Raiders the ball back. It was such a pitiful, embarrassing performance to then be followed up with what you said. John Gruden marching the field for a 7-minute drive and then saying, "Oh, I want to trust my horrible defense to stop the Chargers, even though they haven't been able to do it all night. And I just fired my D coordinator 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to kick this field goal and give the ball back to the Chargers and think my defense is going to do something different than what they've been doing all year and all night."
Mm-hmm.
Apologize. So going on to that, none of those guys were the second dud. The second dud, and my God.
It was like the 12 days of duds, and
This
you
whole
just
game
went through
was-
all these players who weren't even the actual dud.
Because I had a whole list of duds that I had to change after the Chargers ended up winning the game.
Oh, okay.
Trayvon Mullen, who surprisingly isn't related to me. He gets flagged 4 times in the game, including 2 brutal pass interferences at the end of the game in like the fourth quarter. This guy was getting, and Kaden Williams and Mike Williams weren't the ones dominating. This guy's getting torched by, what's his face? Goyton was his name? He went for 4 receptions for 91 yards. The guy was averaging 23 yards a pop. That's who Trayvon Mullen was getting torched on every single play. It was a brutal, brutal performance by him. Besides the fact that the guy got flagged 4 times himself and got 2 PIs towards the end of the game where it ended up being brutal for him because they extended the drives. The guy was just getting torched all night by this Goyton guy who I never even heard of. I never heard the end of Mullen's name. I was like, I thought I was in a family reunion. They said Mullen so many damn times. The guy was involved on every play in every possible bad way. It was so bad. It reminded me of when I made Matt Paradise, the center for the Panthers, the dud. It was one of those Thursday night games where I just watched the whole game, and I just can't help but notice this guy's so bad, and he's just getting killed on every play. And it was just one of those, I would have never in a million years picked Trayvon Mullen, but watching the game, if you sit down and watch that game, the full thing, you would know exactly what I was talking about. Got torched all game long, never stopped. But yeah, all in all, just a really bad, entertaining, won me a lot of money, ugly game. Really, really bad coaching all around. Anthony Lynn has to be fired.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with your bloodline there, because I mean, you got the Mullins in the Niners. He's not very good. You got this cornerback. He's not very good.
Hold on. Those are Ian Mullins.
Throw out the whole last name.
No. They're Ians. They're completely different. Those are the Neanderthal part of the family.
Then okay.
Ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Oh, the twice removed cousins.
Exactly. They give it Ian, they lose their genetic superiority.
Gotcha. So who's the number 1 dud then?
All right, so number 1 dud.
Is this going to be a monologue too, or is this just going to be like search and rescue?
We'll see. I'll give you a hint. This guy's first name, legal name, is John.
Okay. Is that not what he's called?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Former California product.
Okay.
Honestly, for how bad he's been playing, you could say he's, starting to transition to more of a, you know, reality show personality, entertainer. I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Well, let's put it this way. One of his antics, his off the field antics, didn't work out well for him this week. A team that suffered a brutal loss. His team actually just gave up first place in their own division after losing this game.
Oh, wait. Okay, go ahead.
He went for a very, very, and I mean very, sizzling stat line of 3 receptions for 15 yards on 6 targets. He has 670 yards on the year, 7 touchdowns, 82 receptions. Not bad. Could be a little bit better. His quarterback that he plays with is a former Super Bowl champion that were won probably before this guy was even in middle school.
How much? Wait, I know who you're talking about, but how many receiving yards does he have?
670.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor. Is that all your hints?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, poor Juju. Ever since AB left, he's shown that he's not really a number one guy.
So I did want to use this as not only a number one dud of the game, because first off, you go the dancing on the logos before the game is stupid. Like
I think it's funny, but the fact that they keep losing is kind of also funny.
No, if they kept winning, if he was going out there and dominating, then sure, yeah, that would be something I'd be interested. You go and suck and get killed. That's not very entertaining. Like, stop being an idiot. The guy goes, dances on the Bengals logo, hardly a scary team to be worried about, and then gets absolutely crushed. Like the first half, he
Oh, it was
didn't
a
have to wait long.
phenomenal hit.
Crushed.
Loved it.
Fumbles the ball, gives up the touchdown, and they ended up losing. He has been such a dud this whole year. Like I really thought he would be really solid this year. I thought
I was hoping.
got hurt.
I like Juju,
but it's not even just this bad game. Like, look at his season. He's a pending free agent. I don't see any team giving him number one wide receiver money. I don't see the Steelers even attempting to bring him back. Chase Claypool is head and shoulders better than him. Even James Washington's kind of taken over his spot, or not James Washington, Deontay Johnson. Like, he's now the third option on his team, and he was the number one guy going into it. He's been terrible. He's really done nothing.
He's expendable on that team because they got like 4 receivers that could step right up and take his spot.
Well, that's the thing. Why? Like, well, the other thing is he causes he's I wouldn't say a headache because he's not really a diva. He just is constantly doing something.
Yeah, I mean he's like 21, 22 years old. Like, he's a kid still.
Yeah, but, dude, read the room. You've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, he's not super I mean, he's just trying to. I get it. He just wants to live his life, but like, you're in the pros, you get to do something special. Should take it a little more professionally.
I don't know. If I lost 2 games in a row and my team was in downfall and we just got smacked the week before, I probably don't go out and dance on the team's logo to start the game.
So, funny story, he does that dance he does the same song every time in his like TikToks. And it's like it goes like Corvette or something. And there's a video of Joe Mixon who didn't even play. After the game, he was driving in his car blasting that song. And everyone's just like, dude didn't even play, and he's still ripping Juju. It's like,
this is what you set yourself up for.
Yeah.
Like, listen, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, guys who are balling and can back it up, sure, do whatever you like. Juju Smith, you've had a very down year. Your team is in free fall, and you're now the joke of the NFL. Your head coach had to answer in his press conference about you dancing before the game and said he's going to have to talk to you about it. What is this, Pop Warner football? He's going to go talk to you about dancing in the middle of the field?
Yeah, it's not
just the fact that he got absolutely smacked, fumbled the ball, and they ended up scoring is the reason he's the number one dud. The stat line is one thing. The 3 for 15 against an awful Bengals team, that's terrible.
Yeah.
the fact that you got destroyed after dancing on the lineup, that is comical, hilarious, and well deserving. And you're the number one dud by far. So into the good stuff. Third stud. Now this one, I'll go out of my way and say this is more situational than it is statistical for him being on the stud list. But I got to say, this is the best clue I've got because this is a hell of a story.
Oh, God.
So this is the deep diving that I do for you. His grandfather, this player's grandfather.
Do I have to attach like a works cited to this podcast somehow? Like, I feel like all these references, all these.
It's his grandfather. It's public knowledge.
Okay.
His grandfather with the greatest name I've ever seen in my entire life. Dick Hammer. Dick Hammer, this guy's actual name. He was a basketball player for USC.
Dick Hammer.
Fun fact, this stud player, his alma mater is also USC. His Dick Hammer, his grandfather, he was a member of the 1964 U.S. Olympic volleyball team. He was an actor on TV in a series called Emergency. Now get this, and I'm convinced that this guy just showed up for the audition. And you're like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, Dick Hammer. You're like, wow, all right, well, you got the role. No, hold on. I love your name so much. You're going to play, get this, Captain Hammer. That was the guy's name who he played on Emergency.
Very creative.
It's just the writers are like, this is the greatest name ever. Let's stick with it. He was also an original Marlboro man in the cigarette commercials in the 1970s. And a firefighter in the LA area. So that was the grandfather of this stud player. The stud player also, you cannot convince me anyone else helped themselves individually more than this guy. He managed to save his job in one game. He is guaranteed his same exact job next year. The job that was well out of his hands and was gone, and people were already writing him off and getting ready to trade him. And now after winning one game, he has saved himself his job for next season.
This is Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold, baby.
Wow.
Sam Darnold single-handedly kept his job for next year. Because the Jets were going to draft Trevor Lawrence, and Darnold was getting traded. And now we already mentioned it, and we talked about it. If I'm the Jets, I keep Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold's better than what's in the draft.
Actually, fun fact, real quick, when the Jets were punting and like 2 minutes left or something, and the Rams were about to return it for a touchdown on the return, and the punter had a game-saving tackle.
I did see, yeah.
So now everyone's like, "Oh, great! The punter of all people ruined our chance at Trevor Lawrence."
Punts in general, because then they blocked the punt against the Rams too.
Yeah.
But Sammy D, 22 of 31, 207 yards, 1 touchdown. Hardly the most impressive stat line, but he did add 18 yards on the ground. But when you talk about a guy, there's no one that had a bigger win or a bigger weekend than Sam Darnold. Single-handedly saved his job. He is now sending Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville. He's like, you know what? I get to live my cushy life in New York. I get to keep my penthouse in Manhattan. And Trevor Lawrence is now going to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought Sam Darnold was a bad quarterback by any standards. I thought if he got traded, it would be to a place where he could have a chance to start.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, if this is what ends up happening because they won a game and it takes him out of it. I mean, the thing with them, they're going to take Trevor Lawrence because of, like you said, generational talent. But yeah, now that the Jags could still win a game. It's not out of the possibilities, but
not likely. They haven't won a game since week 1.
This is true. They beat the Colts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's
stranger things have happened.
Hey, listen, it's amazing. It reminds me of it almost reminded me of the Josh Rosen situation because all Josh Rosen had to do was just win one more game, and he'd probably still be the starting quarterback in Arizona. But
Josh Rosen was not a very good quarterback.
He played one season. How could you say he's a bad quarterback?
Nothing that I saw from him was positive. I didn't see anything that was like, wow, he's a franchise guy.
Listen, if he won a game or two more, and then the year before they drafted Kyler Murray, he'd probably still be the Arizona Cardinals starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So hey, give it to your boy Sam. Sam went and secured his job for next year. He
So
gets to keep his New York penthouse.
he was the third stud. Who was number 2?
So number 2 is hold on one second. So number 2 is an offensive player. He actually plays in the same division as our third dud, Mr. Aaron Donald.
Okay.
He this is a good little fun fact for you. According to ESPN, since 2013, this guy, he is the third largest hands of any wide receiver to come through the scouting combine.
Okay.
Surprisingly, the top 2. Well, the first guy is not very surprising. Calvin Benjamin has the biggest hands of any wide receiver since 2013. The guy was huge, so I'm not very.
Is he still on an NFL team?
I don't think so. Now, number 2, he will surprise you. I didn't know this. He's actually a rookie this year. You know who has the second biggest hands since 2013 for a wide receiver? That would be Mr. Henry Ruggs Jr. or the third, whatever he is.
Ruggs, the speedy guy, huh?
Yeah, apparently he's fast and huge hands. So this guy, second stud, is the third largest hand since 2013. He is also a Clemson alumni.
I mean, I know who a team it is. I'm just trying to remember which guy it is. All right, it's DeAndre Hopkins you're talking about?
There you go.
Okay. Because I was like, Larry Fitzgerald didn't go to Clemson.
Man, all right. Before I really get into what, can we just say the DeAndre Hopkins trade, not even a full season, that is top 5 worst trade in the NFL. Like, that is a worst trade in NFL history, kind of bad. I just want to say,
it was so bad that I don't even remember what they gave away. David Johnson and like something else, like a shitty pick. They should have gotten 2 first rounds out of that.
DeAndre Hopkins, 9 receptions, 169 yards,
and
a touchdown. He had, I think, the top play of this week, that touchdown catch where he just somehow just grips that ball and it just never comes out. That's where his big-ass hands are just, I'm going to hold on to this, and you're not going to do anything about it at all.
They asked him after the game, I forget who it was. She was like, when did you know you had the touchdown? He's like, oh, as soon as I caught it.
Yeah.
It's like.
You can see these hands don't drop. You hit the hands, and they're going nowhere.
Well, that one, and then the one where, like, Murray just threw it up and, like, I mean, the coverage wasn't good, but they still got back to him and made him have to jump up and catch it, and he just came down with it casually. Like, the dude is just I mean, he had that fumble, which was pretty costly.
Yeah, he made up for it.
But yeah, I know every night Deshaun Watson is just banging his pillow before he goes to sleep because he could have had D-Hop for. Could you imagine if he had him his whole career? Like, you're talking like Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison kind of connections. So it's a shame, but
no, listen, it is. I look at it as right up there, like, you know, the Herschel Walkers and the Ricky Williams trades and other trades you want to put out there. This is going to go down as one of the worst trades in NFL history. Like,
again, like we don't know what the whole. I still think deep down, like, it had to have been that teams knew something about, like, they knew either that he was going to hold out or he wasn't going to re-sign or something, because there's no way. Like, there's no way they just gave him away like that. There has to be something else.
Well, Bill O'Brien got fired for it.
But now we're no. So
yeah. Moving on, but yeah, that guy was amazing. Just watching that, I was like, geez, this is tough. Like, our secondary stinks, but it didn't even matter because when they covered him well, it really didn't matter. He was still going to catch the damn ball.
Yeah. So who's number 1?
All right, number 1 stud. Guy that's been on this list before, and he's just kind of dominating and taking over the league. Originally from California. Here's a little fun fact for you. He grew up in a farming town in California. He was a member of the National FFA organization. Sorry, tripped over my words there.
FFA.
The Future Farmers of America, if you're wondering. He was top 4 in the nation in diversified crop production of cantaloupe, cotton, and wheat in 2014.
Okay.
That's what Wikipedia's telling me, so I'm going to believe it.
And he's been on the stud list before.
Yes. He didn't get any college offers at all. He went and actually played at the powerhouse of junior college, Reedley College, before he would go on to then transfer to the University of Wyoming.
Okay.
He is. What was another little fun fact that I can't remember? Born on May 21st. He was a first-round quarterback.
You know, you give me these birthdays like I'm going to do something with them. I mean, it's still cool to know when they're born, but I couldn't. I don't even know any Eagles players' birthdays. Like, come on.
I mean, I thought the Trayvon Mullen one was a giveaway after once.
Oh yeah, giveaway, dead giveaway.
I didn't understand what else you needed. But yeah, no, that's what you'll get right now. I'll also say this guy's really kicked the door open on. He put himself in the MVP conversation after this game. He put up, I believe he had 4 total touchdowns, 3 to the air.
Wyoming.
There's not that many players from Wyoming. This isn't that hard.
What was the wait? What? So he's a quarterback. What was the first hint you gave?
That he was 4th nationally in the FFA. Was it cantaloupe, wheat, and cotton?
Is it Josh Allen?
It is Josh Allen.
Oh, okay.
See, did you know that Josh?
He's got Honestly, you put like suspenders on him with like a pitchfork and a little hat, like easily could look like a farmer.
I just really like that he won. He was top 4 in the nation, diversified crop production of cantaloupe, cotton, and wheat. Talk about 3 things that are.
Wait, yeah, cantaloupe, cotton, and weed.
I have no.
How does cantaloupe fit in there?
Wheat, like.
Oh, wheat. I thought you said weed.
Do you think they're having competition who can grow better cantaloupe and weed together?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know high schools would be participating in that, but you know.
Cantaloupe, wheat, and cotton.
Yeah, weird mixture. I've never grown anything, but you know.
Does cantaloupe grow on a tree or like a vine? Like, how does cantaloupe? Is it like a pumpkin? It's just in the ground.
Listen, you gotta talk to Josh Allen.
I need you to dig deeper than this. Come on, I need answers.
I gave you the fun fact. I don't know anything about cantaloupes. I know stuff about Josh Allen, not cantaloupes. But
all right. Well, what do you know about Josh Allen?
28 of 40, 359 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. To then go along with his 33 yards rushing and add on 2 more touchdowns.
Yeah.
Denver's hardly a juggernaut, but man, 4 touchdowns in any NFL game. This guy's absolutely cooking. I think since Russell slipped back, it's a 2-man race in this MVP. It's Allen and it's Mahomes. And, you could put
Rodgers.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. But you know what? Allen's got a serious case. The Bills are for real. The Bills are, without a doubt, the second-best team in the AFC and arguably in the NFL. They will be a tough out for the Chiefs. I love what they're doing. The defense is playing well now. They're really coming together. Stephon Diggs casually went for 147 yards with 11 receptions. He's the perfect number 1 for Josh Allen. He's just a speed threat. He's great. The tandem of him and Allen are unstoppable. The rushing games, still working on it. Yeah, they still do the Moss and Singletary mix, but to be honest, you got Josh Allen who runs the ball so well. I wouldn't even be worried about it. But first stud, Josh Allen after another dominating performance.
Yeah, he just keeps getting better. I mean, even when he has some bad games, like he rebounds.
Yeah.
I heard he did a lot of training with like former quarterbacks in the offseason and stuff. Yeah, but I'm happy. I like the Bills. Like I'm rooting for them. I've always kind of liked them on the side. Strangely enough, I was a Eric Moulds fan, the wide receiver. Very random player to like, but yeah. No, they're playing really well. I think.
I just tell you this. So far this season, 4,000 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns, and 8 rushing touchdowns. With his team 11-3.
How many picks?
9.
That's not bad at all.
When your interceptions pretty much equal your rushing touchdown total, that's a pretty good season.
And speaking of Stephon Diggs, it must be nice to be the Vikings to know, like, how often do you trade away a really talented wide receiver, see them go like do top 5 stats in the NFL, but then you replace him with a guy who also has top 5 stats in the NFL. It doesn't happen very often with Justin Jefferson. So
yeah, it's nice. Clearly, they know how to develop. But yeah, Josh Allen, number one stud this week. Guy's an absolute beast.
Well, yeah, well deserved.
That's the studs and duds.
Nice. And with that, since we were talking about the Bills and their rise and challenge ability to the Chiefs, it seems very fitting to jump into the power rankings. So we'll start, I guess, at number one then. So Chiefs, once again, number one. Been at number one, will be at number one unless they lose. Best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, the Bills, strongest opponent, AFC or NFC, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That can rival. I mean, Packers are also there, so the Packers will slide into three, but Packers and Bills are definitely.
Packers didn't have the prettiest game from them either.
No, but I just look at Aaron. I know Aaron Rodgers didn't have a good game against the Niners in the NFC Championship last year, but I don't. I just seems like a different Aaron Rodgers this year. So
it does seem like a different Aaron Rodgers, but the Packers seem the same. The defense is still suspect. They still struggle a lot against the run, and that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. But that being said, they are our number three team. Number four, we have the Browns, who keep rising. I mean, I said Baker Mayfield is basically a Kirk Cousins. But, I'll give credit where credit's due. He's playing really well. He's playing, he's running all over the field, cheering on his teammates, getting hype. He's, for as much of an ego as he has, it's like he disperses it in a positive manner.
Yeah, I always think Baker's been like that, though.
I mean, I've never really liked him as a player. I didn't like him in college that much, but I'm happy for the Browns that they have a capable quarterback because that franchise deserves to see some success.
Yeah.
Number five, we have the Saints, just falling back one spot. Had a tough loss to the Chiefs, but again, they're up there with the Packers as teams that could fight the Chiefs for a Super Bowl. Number six, we have the Titans, who smacked, once again, scored 46 points. Derrick Henry, just unreal, not from this planet. Number seven, we have the Seahawks. So we had the Rams in this power ranking last week, and they were in a couple of times. But when you lose to a team that hadn't won a game, you're going to fall out. And I think the Seahawks are now in possession of first place in that division in the NFC West. So I think they'll hold on. I think they'll get that division title, and still a good chance the Rams could get the wild card because right now it's them and the Cardinals in the wild card. But then number eight, we got the Colts. Tim hates Phillip Rivers, but he's playing well. Colts defense is playing well. The whole team actually is just playing really well. I'm glad to see Frank Reich getting success.
I'm just saying Phillip Rivers might be playing well in the world, but I see Jacoby Brissett still play a lot.
Number nine, the Bucks come back in. I mean, they're winning games. They're still a very underwhelming team to me. They should be doing so much more with that amount of talent.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And then at number 10, the Steelers' fall from grace continues, who were once an 11-0 team. Now lost three straight to not the best of opponents. I mean, like we said, Bills are really good, but they really weren't even in that game. And for a Super Bowl contender, you want to be in a competitive game with those kind of teams, and they struggled a lot. There's a reason we didn't have them at number one for a while, even when they were undefeated. It's because we thought they were one of the weaker undefeated teams we've seen in a while. And lo and behold, they've lost three straight. They have no run game. Big Ben looks pretty awful right now. And their defenses, all those injuries are starting to add up. So
that's the big problem, is that the same issues that we've been talking about since week one for them, they haven't gone away. But now their strength, their defense that's been making up for all those issues for most of the season is starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
Just due to injury. And you know what? You should have figured something out in your run game. You need a running back. James Conner sucks.
I mean, he just can't stay healthy.
But even when he was out there, they really can't run the ball at all. McFarland, Snell, these guys, they needed a running back. They need the Le'Veon Bell type.
Oh, that's weird. I think they had a guy like that.
Yeah, I think that's where Ben's at this point in his career. Do you think? Because I said this about Drew Brees. I was like, I think this is more Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara's offense. Big Ben's probably getting to that same point. He doesn't look like the same quarterback. He already had the major injury last year.
Said he wasn't going to retire.
He doesn't have the talent around him to take the burden off him. Juju, we already mentioned, completely just given the opportunity and dropped it. Chase Claypool's a really nice player, so maybe he can help them going forward. But Connor's not special. Like he doesn't have the special talent around him to help take the burden off, like he did with Bell and Brown, and like Drew Brees has now with the Saints.
Yeah.
Oh well. All right, let's get to the picks.
On to our picks. Once again, I destroyed you.
I'm tired of hearing this.
I went 12-4. You went 10-6, and I had my cousin Ian do our guest picks for the week, and he had a little bit of a struggle. He went 9-7. But I mean, we had some upsets and some crazy finishes. So,
True.
So now I sit at a lovely record of 161-64, almost 100 games over my wrong picks. And then Tim is at 141-84. So I have about a 20-game lead on you.
Sure.
You got some work to do.
Go ahead.
So unless I'm mistaken, it looks like we don't have a Thursday night game, but we have a Friday 4:30 Christmas game.
Yep.
Okay. So Vikings versus the Saints. Really thought the Vikings would have beaten the Bears last week. They once again continue to just be a strange team. It's just a weird year in the NFL. But
the Vikings are like they're terrible for a couple of weeks, then they're really good, and then they go back to being terrible.
Well, it's the Dalvin Cook. It's Minnesota Cooks. So
and Jefferson's, but yeah, I'm
sure.
gonna take the Saints. This is an important game for New Orleans for the seeding. The Vikings have nothing to play for, so at this is the point of the season. It's now more of who's got something to actually play for. So give me the Saints.
Yeah, the Saints need this game. They can't lose 3 in a row. That would be brutal. So I'll take the Saints. Then we have 3 Saturday games this weekend. First one at 1 o'clock, we got the Buccaneers with the Lions. I believe the Buccaneers, they are, because I think they're in the wild card. Unless I'm mistaken. I mean, they're 9-5 because I know the Cardinals I last saw were in the 7th spot, and they're 8-6. So they need to not lose a trap game like this to the Lions. So I'll take Tom Brady to stay clutch in December and get a win here.
Yeah, I don't need a 15-minute monologue like yourself to pick the Buccaneers over the Lions. The Lions are a terrible team, so I'll take the Buccaneers.
I'm trying to spread it out when you go on your monologues during the studs and duds. So
okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. The next Saturday game we have is the Niners of the Cardinals. Same case as the Bucs. Cardinals need to keep pace. Niners have shown sparks on defense here and there, but they're not. Mullins is not a good quarterback, so I'll ride with Kyler Murray again. Cardinals.
This could go either way. It's a divisional game for me, to be honest, but that Cardinals defense looks pretty bad. I'll take the Niners. What the hell?
Okay.
My boy Nick Mullins gonna pull out a win.
You can only pray. Maybe he'll get you some tickets. So, the last Saturday game, Dolphins at the Raiders.
I don't want anything to do with the Raiders. You listen. I don't know how they lost that game. Like Anthony Lynn was doing everything. The Money Badger and Anthony Lynn did everything in their power to lose that game at the end. If it wasn't for the fact that Trayvon Mullen was out there in the secondary and Justin Herbert's a beast, there's no way the Raiders lose that game. But nonetheless, they did. So I'm not going to go pick that train wreck. I don't want anything to do with the Raiders.
I looked at this game like as soon as I read it, and I just immediately thought spoiler or upset. So I'm going to go Raiders. I think I have a friend living out in Vegas right now. So give her a little positivity, get the Raiders a win.
Yeah, sounds like a good reasoning for that.
Yeah. Then we have, moving on to the Sunday games. First 1 o'clock game we have is the Giants at the Ravens. Like we said, Giants are showing their true colors. They're not that good of a team. And the Ravens need a win to keep pace with the Browns and the Steelers on the rest of the wild card teams. So I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, I'll also take the Ravens. The Ravens actually been playing pretty well recently, I think.
They've played. Lamar's played a lot better. Their defense has stepped up too, so they're getting hot at the right time. Colts at Steelers. Oh, man, this is. I'm going to take the Colts. Their Steelers have shown me nothing to say that they're going to win this game, and I know I keep saying like for half these teams so far that these are just games they have to win, but I think the Colts just desire to win more here.
See, I do think Tomlin's a pretty good coach.
He is a very good coach.
I think this is one of those games that Tomlin gets his guys ready, and they come out and win a big one. They need one. That was an embarrassing loss. Look at where the Pittsburgh Steelers are right now. They lost 3 in a row. They were undefeated. Now they don't even lead their own division anymore. Everyone is laughing at the fact that your wide receiver dances on the logo and then gets absolutely destroyed, and your team sucks. But Tomlin's a good coach. It's a very veteran team. I could see this being a game that they get up for. They need to change everything around. And quite frankly, if they lose this game, then you know what? Don't even bother going to the playoffs because you're not going anywhere.
Has there ever been a team that went more like greater than 10-0 and didn't make playoffs?
Well, I mean, they would have to lose. They'd have to lose a couple more games, but it's high realistic possibility. We'll see. But I'll take the Steelers. I don't think they're as good as I think everyone thought they were when they were undefeated, but I still think they're a pretty a solid team, like a good team, not a great team.
Yeah, I mean the worst they can finish is 11-5, which is still nothing to like sneeze at. That's a good record, but it's not very good to go into the playoffs losing 5 straight games. So
yeah, well, I think they win a big one here.
I'll take the Colts. Stick with my gut. Next game is the Falcons at the Chiefs.
Yeah, right.
I could be smelling another upset here.
You could, but I don't think that's that. But I'll take the Chiefs.
Chiefs at 1:00. They are home. 13-1.
I'm sorry. Are you thinking the Chiefs have? This is the Chiefs who come back on everyone. They made a whole Super Bowl run. Like
right? You know what?
Double digits, and now you're going to give them the Falcons.
All right, I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I'll tell you that I believe the Falcons will be winning in the fourth quarter.
I mean, that's like majority of their losses, though.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty on par for them.
Next game is the Bears, the Jaguars.
Yeah. No, the Jaguars aren't going to pull the Jets. Now that they were given the gift of Trevor Lawrence, there will be no more winning in Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Bears. I mean, the
Bears actually are playing pretty well recently.
Bears could still make the wild card. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs, but sure, whatever.
Listen, they're fighting for Nagy. I thought Nagy was a dead man walking. I still kind of think he loses his job at the end of the year, but they're fighting for him.
I mean, they finally said, hey, wow, we have a pretty solid running back in Montgomery. Maybe we should use him. And look at that. He got like 150 rushing yards.
That offensive line, Swiss cheese.
That's true. Next game is Bengals at the Texans. I think, Deshaun's still playing. He made the Pro Bowl, and he's playing really well. So I'll take the Texans. I know the Bengals got a nice win, but
this one's a coin toss game for me. Really, they're both really bad. Like I know Watson's good, but the teams suck. You know what? Just to be different, give me Ryan Finley for another week. Listen, you can score points against the Steelers in that defense. You should be able to score against the horrific Houston Texans defense.
The Bengals, huh? Okay, whatever you say.
Spice it up.
Another. This could be an interesting game. Browns at the Jets. Can you imagine if the Jets were 0-13 and they won 2 straight after that? Completely takes them out of the Trevor Lawrence and anyone else at that point.
I don't know. I mean, I know Quinn Williams.
I'm not thinking about this one. I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure Quinn Williams got a concussion last game. All I see is their running backs running the ball down their throat all game.
Yeah. So you're taking
Browns.
okay. Start first 4 o'clock game. We have Panthers at Washington. Panthers look like they might be a good team at some point. I feel like the Panthers always start out doing well and then always end poorly. But
I think McCaffrey's supposed to play though.
is he great? So I have to bench Mike Davis in my fantasy championship game. Just what I want to hear.
I listen. I don't know if they confirmed it, but I did hear reports that there was a chance he would be playing.
Just hold him out at this point. What's he gonna gain?
It makes absolutely no sense to play him, but hey,
Um,
let them do what they do.
but I'm gonna take Washington. Well, actually, who's playing quarterback?
I would. I mean, I don't know what Alex Smith's injury is like, but I can't imagine the Redskins want to put Dwayne Haskins out there.
Well, if Alex Smith plays or anyone not Dwayne Haskins, I'll take Washington. So I'll just pencil it in as Washington.
Yeah, all these parlays and all this. Alex Smith, it looks like they say he's a real chance for Week 16. I'll take Alex. I'll take the Washington football team as well. Chase Young is playing out of his damn mind.
Mm-hmm.
That is a terrifying thing to know that he's going to be in the division for the next decade.
He already made a Pro Bowl too, so
He's so good. Even if McCaffrey's out there, you would have to assume it's on a limited basis, and I think that offense is going to struggle against the Washington defense. So I'll take Washington in a game they have to win. This is a big game for them.
the next game we have Broncos at the Chargers. Another toss up of a coin flip.
The Broncos are a pretty bad team from when I watched it against them Buffalo, but listen, Herbert's out there doing his thing. Anthony Lynn doesn't know how to coach, but Herbert knows how to play, so I'll take the Chargers.
Do you know who won the first matchup of these two teams?
Off the top of my head, no, I do not.
I'll take the Broncos.
Sounds confident.
I mean, I could have just said heads or tails. So
there's a couple of games like this. These are the late year, end of the year divisional games. They could go either way.
These next two games are. I'm going to be very interested in watching these. Wait, when did the Eagles? The Eagles play Monday night?
No.
Did I just skip the Eagles? I did skip the Eagles. They play another 4 o'clock game. Jeez, man.
Oh, by the way, the Broncos did beat the Chargers the first time.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'll stick with my pick. Okay, never mind. So the last 4 o'clock game. Actually, we have 2 more 4 o'clock games. So let's do Eagles, Cowboys. I don't want them to win because I want a better draft pick.
Me too.
But the fact that they beat the Saints and the fact that they almost beat the Cardinals, Dallas isn't anywhere near those teams. I'll pick the Eagles. Never thought I'd be sad to pick the Eagles.
No, look at you. I'm taking the Eagles. But just considering the whole team is just suddenly reemerged as superstars.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. Just put a backup quarterback in, and suddenly the D tackles and the cornerbacks play better too.
Shocker.
Yeah. So I'll take the Eagles as well.
All right. Moving on. A very, very impactful game here. Rams at the Seahawks. I think the Rams did they beat the Seahawks in the first game? I'm trying to remember now. That was a game that was like really good. It was like a shootout. Regardless, I think the Seahawks win this one. Russ is pretty good in December, and I think the Rams are starting to show some holes. So yeah.
So you're taking who? The Seahawks?
Seahawks.
I'd like to think
because essentially this is for the division.
Yeah. The Rams did beat the Seahawks the first matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I would normally pick the team like that comes off the horrific loss to a very bad team to have a get right game, but this is an important game, and the Seahawks are not going to just give this one away.
Yeah.
The Rams are going to have to fight and earn this. And you know what? I think that funk of losing to the Jets kind of still hangs over them a little bit. And I think Seattle comes out and wins.
Next game, the Sunday night game, is the Titans at the Packers.
I think, you know what? Give me the Titans, because the biggest problem the Packers have is their run defense. And Derrick Henry is a beast and a half. He's going to be a problem for them. Their run defense is their biggest issue, and that's something I'd worry about if I'm the Packers.
So, I think this will be a really good game because, like you said, Packers' run defense is not the best, but conversely, the Titans' pass defense is not very good.
You are right about that.
So it could be a game of Derrick Henry versus Aaron Rodgers, basically. And if that's the case, I'm going to take Rodgers and the Packers. But that should be a fun. That's a Sunday night game I'm actually looking forward to for once.
It'll be a good game. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's good to see a matchup of two very good teams in different conferences like this late in the year.
I mean, Titans are 10-4, Packers are 11-3. Like, can't ask for much better than that.
That's true.
And then the final game is the Monday night game, the Bills at the Patriots. I'm not going to spend much time on this. I don't know what the deal with the Patriots quarterback situation is, but they're not playing very well lately. Just got eliminated from the playoffs, and the Bills are on like cloud nine right now. So I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, it basically comes down to the fact that the Bills are scoring a lot of points all the time, and the Patriots can't really score at all. So I'll take the Bills as well.
Yeah. I don't think they have a touchdown like 2 or 3 games now.
Yeah, Josh Allen has 4 per game.
Pretty bad. But that wraps up the Week 16 picks. Any final thoughts? I think it's kind of sad. The season's coming to a close soon. I feel like this is going to be a more exciting playoffs than in years past, just because of all that's going on, though. So
we'll see. The only thing I pray and beg for, I don't want any coronavirus in the playoffs. I don't want a makeshift backup roster going to a playoff game.
But that's the thing. Like, you can't really delay those games. So
that's why I'm hoping. All I ask for is just a clean playoffs. The NFL's done a pretty good job, all in all, with considering how many people are in the game and the traveling and everything. But
I think they'll be fine. I mean, it's only 14 teams. That's less than half that are going to make it. So
we'll see. Fingers crossed. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm bummed. My excitement of my life and social life has been football the last couple months since there's nothing else. So,
and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, take it while we got it.
All right. Well, as always, a pleasure. Looking forward to. I don't know what we're looking forward to with the Eagles anymore, but they're a train ride as always.
You know what? I don't know where I want the train to end. I don't know where I want my journey to end, but I'm gonna sit back and enjoy the journey and see where we go.
I'm not really enjoying the journey. It's a train that I want to get off, but it's a very bumpy train.
I know, but I can't get off now. I'm on it. I'm going to see where it goes.
Doesn't have any brakes.
Those next 2 weeks just decide how stressful this offseason is going to be.
Yep. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of hope Hurts keeps playing well, because if he doesn't play well, say he lays an egg this week against Dallas and lays an egg against Washington, suddenly doesn't look like a very good quarterback, then what do you do?
I don't think – I know people have tossed it around, but I cannot see them taking a quarterback in the draft.
Oh, God, no, that would be a problem. Because I stick to that. That's why I think the Jets will be fine with Sam Darnold. I don't think any of the quarterbacks outside of Trevor Lawrence is better than Sam Darnold.
No. I mean, it'll be either Wentz will get traded or we'll have a competition for the starting position. That's as easy as it is. So
we'll see.
We shall see.
All right. I'll talk to you.
All right. As always, peace out.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yes. Happy holidays from us to you, and however that saying goes, to marry more, whatever.